What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Neon Dream Games. I've got a devlog sort of this week for you. Just a general kind of update. It's the new year. What's going on? What am I up to? What's the plan going forward? So stick around and we're going to get into all these topics. So let's just kind of get into it. It's 2025. Not many of you watched my last devlog, which was at the end of the year, and I kind of talked about the state of my mental health and being a bit depressed. Well, that's not easy to wipe away, but I am working on that, and I am excited to get into some of these new projects for 2025. So things are starting off a little slow, I'm not gonna lie, but I guess I'm just going to kind of go in sequence of some of the things that I plan to take on here in 2025, and that is something that I started this past week, and that is working on pixel art. One of the goals that I have for this year, and in particular in this month, is to start diving into pixel art. So I bought a bunch of different tutorials and guides on Udemy, in particular on how to get started with Aseprite, and I watched pretty much, I believe, about an 11-hour course during this past week just to kind of familiarize myself with the program and the software and what it does. I am planning on buying the Pixel Lab plugin for Aseprite, which adds AI features to it and helps push your design along, give you a boost. But I figured, before I start using something like a tool like AI, I should have base knowledge of how to use the software itself so that I can properly use the tool and alter the different things that it creates to best suit my needs. So I did that for this past week. I don't have a lot to show from it. I really did more watching than doing the pixel art. I did a few things and it's interesting, but it was more research. I'm pretty good with, Photoshop in particular. I have pretty high skills in that software, and that sort of translates pretty easily into other softwares once I just kind of understand the basics. And to be honest, Aseprite seemed pretty simple to figure out and operate. So I'm pretty confident going forward with that one. One of my goals here with pixel art is not only to create, original art and assets for my own games that I'm going to make going forward, but as many of you know, I'm doing this to try and become a full-time developer. So I need an income. There's going to be many avenues that I'm going to pursue to earn a full-time income doing video games. And one of those things that I'm going to test the waters with this year is game asset packs, pixel art asset packs. So my goal here by the end of January is to release my first commercial asset pack on itch.io and possibly other platforms, but for sure itch.io to begin with, and just sort of see where that takes me. So that's one thing I'm working on, and then going forward from there, I plan to try and release as many asset packs as I can, while also juggling some of these other things like my YouTube channel here, and obviously making a game, which I am still struggling a bit on the direction to go with that, but I'll get to my YouTube stuff a little bit later here. But I guess let's continue on with the idea of tutorials. One idea that I have here going forward is there's a few things I want to brush up my skills with, my knowledge, and I want to be able to learn a few different things that I'm not feeling as confident with. I have an idea on a game I want to make, and I've got a couple rattling around, but some of the pieces to those puzzles are things I haven't really done much of yet. So I don't want to get trapped in tutorial hell, but at the same time, I feel like it would be good for me to take a quick look at some of these tutorials. In particular, I'm using Zenva. Wish I was sponsored on that, but just letting you know, that's what I've been using. And those tutorials aren't very long. They're only like an hour or two on average, teaching you how to make some kind of game or, some mini version of a game. And one idea I had, since I'm also going to be kind of learning how to do pixel art along the way, is to normally these tutorials, they give you a generic asset pack or whatever to use to follow along with on the tutorial. And I think what I'm going to try to challenge myself with is to not use those asset packs, but to take that opportunity to create my own asset for whatever that tutorial is. Learn the concept that the tutorial is teaching, but then see if I can make that into maybe like a little mini game or something to just cement that into my own mind and skill. But maybe I'll release little prototype-y games, probably not commercially, I'm assuming, unless it really seemed like it was going in a good direction for that, but mainly just maybe on itch.io or something like I did with my other game, Martian Mayhem. But that's kind of one idea I thought could not only produce some interesting videos for YouTube for you guys to watch, to learn what I'm doing, but also maybe to see some fun results from, but it also would help me to grow in these other skills and areas that I'm trying to grow on. So I think that's kind of where I'm going to head with video game development right now. Obviously, I will keep you guys updated through devlogs as the year goes on. If I do start working on a new game of mine, I'm sure you will be the first to know. Right now, I'm going to try and plan for tutorials for a little bit. I don't know how long. Like I said, these tutorials aren't very long, and it may just turn into me watching the tutorial, absorbing the information, and moving on and trying to get back into my own games as soon as possible, because that also is the goal. Like I said, we're trying to become a full-time game developer over here, and I got to get back into it. And, let me wrap this all up. I don't want to get too much into kind of the mental health stuff, but all of this is just trying to overcome sort of where I am mentally right now. So I'm just trying to find little ways to jumpstart my creativity again. And this is what I feel like I can handle at this moment. So that's kind of where I'm heading. Then back to sort of, I've touched a little bit on YouTube on I could use some of these ideas to create hopefully some more entertaining videos related to game dev. But I also thought I might try my hand at some kind of like gameplay videos, like let's play videos or playthrough videos or something. This would be sort of like an alternate series, because the thing is I struggle to find time myself to play games. And I know as an indie game dev, you probably should be checking out what's out there a little bit more often. And it just becomes a time thing. But I thought maybe if I could turn that into partially like a video series or something, I could kind of force myself to play a few games from time to time, but from the kind of aspect of an indie game developer. So like maybe sort of looking at the game, as how is the gameplay? How are the graphics? The general design, like what have they done in this game? And sort of loosely critique it in that regard, but also just try to see is the game fun? Is the game fun to play? Every month I've been paying for the Humble Choice bundle for probably the last several years. And almost every single month, I never play any of those games. I always think like, oh, these games look cool, I want to try playing them. And time gets away and I don't play them. So I was sort of thinking, since I'm paying for that already and have been, a lot of those are just kind of indie games in general. And why not? Why not take a dive into those and see what they are like? So that's one idea for a series. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how you guys maybe respond to that. I'd like to try it out at least sort of along the lines of me playing my own game, Martian Mayhem, which is another thing I'll probably do too. If I do come up with some little mini games and whatever, I'll probably make some gameplay videos of me playing through my own games again as well. But that's sort of where that's the sort of new year update. That's sort of where I'm heading again. This is all a business. This is me trying to move forward and find a path to earning some income so that I can do this full time going forward in the future here. I don't know what that timeline is, but I'll have a better idea once I start completing some of these projects and things and some of these ideas. But that's a quick snapshot of where I'm heading this year and where I'm trying to take Neon Dream Games. I do actually want to, now that I'm thinking about it, I've got my kind of mascot character, Neon, and I want to try to make a pixel version of her pretty early on here, just to sort of mess with and maybe insert her into different games that I'm working on or prototypes or whatever. Ideally, I'd like to have her be sort of an Easter egg in all of my video games in the future, whether she's the main character or just somebody in the game somewhere. I think that'd be a fun little thing to do. So I do have one idea where, like, to make her the star of a game, and I don't know if I'll work on that game, possibly. I've got to flesh that idea out a little bit more before I kind of dive into it. But that's why I wanted to work on these tutorials and things and kind of see where, I don't know, where my creativity goes. But one kind of thing is I might want to try to set myself apart with sort of my graphics. And, you know, my company's called Neon Dream Games. You see I have sort of this neon dreamscape and stuff with my intro and outro, and a bit of a mixture of, you know, that cyberpunky futuristic setting. And I'm sort of thinking I want to maybe lean into that. We'll see. I'm not going to say I'm going to stick with that with everything, but maybe I'll put a little mixture of that into my games as well. Sort of create my own little fantasy realm that maybe carries itself through my different video games that I make in the future. We'll see. I'm not sure I'm going to stick to that, but this is a thought, just a thought, an idea that I have that could be a fun little thing, sort of a company staple, if you will, for my games and things that I do. But that's my year. What about you guys? What's going on in your year? What is your plans? Did you make some plans, some goals for the new year, things you want to achieve and hit? And let's remember, let's try to work in increments. I've said this in other videos, like let's work at small goals that are achievable so that we can gain momentum and build towards bigger goals. That's sort of what I'm thinking. What about you guys? What are you thinking? Are you planning to finish a game, start a game, learn how to do this? What's going on? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments. Let me know. And I think that's going to be about it for this video, for this devlog. That's kind of the game plan for at least the next probably couple months or whatever, but I'll keep you updated in more devlog videos. So until next time, keep YouTubing it up.
Thanks for checking out Neon Dream Games channel. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you can stay up to date on all the latest videos we have to offer. Don't forget to leave a comment to suggest what kind of videos you'd like to see more of in the future. See you in the next video.